I took some freaking Dayquil too, just to be safe. Oh god.
Oh god.
God, medicine sucks. Hi, I've been gone for a while. The first week was because I got sick, and yeah. Oh, that's not good.
I didn't do it, I swear. Okay, I probably did it. Did I make it break?
No, what, maybe.
I hope not.
I know it takes a while for the recovery to happen. There. What's going on? Don't talk to me or my son ever again. I don't want to hear it.
What the
When I gotta touch Toothless.
Oh my god.
What's going on with my... What's happening? What is this? Get down! What are you doing? Oh no!
I broke it.
Oh, they were throwing like a pack of cake at me. That's been happening multiple times before, and you break my hand. What is happening? Hold on. I think I can do this. Emergency tracking. In case you're wondering, this doesn't work exactly like you think it does. It's very basic and bare bones. Somehow, VR chat does it better. Okay. Is there a reset option? Okay, no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh my god. I can't believe you're on this. Where is it? Emergency yeet. Oh god, my hands are still broken, aren't they? I can't start the stream because this shit happens. Fuck!
I'm sorry.
It's still open! Why? What's going on?
At least your hand is closed this time instead of open.
Hold on. 7. Change my character, please. Maybe this will fix it. No, it doesn't! Ah! Fine. Restart. What the fuck happened? How did that happen? Why can't shit work normally when I use it normally?
Normal is boring.
Sorry. Okay. Test 2. Fucking yeet me again. Yeet. If I'm not mistaken, this shit was made in Unity, so there's that. What the fuck? Why did I do that? What the fuck? What happened? I haven't used this in 2 weeks, and then even the Vietnamese is like, I'm tired of your shit. I'm doing my own thing. Why? It's like somebody put a fucking statue inside of me. What if I turn that off? One should be set to don't track. Okay, hand is back to normal. Was that the issue? Was that really the issue? Hey, yay! Excuse me. Yes, I know I need an update, but update's bad too. I'm already used to this kind of system, more or less. Cool. That was the issue. I just had a random VMC receiver on, and it was like, hey, hand. God, too small. Cool. Okay, we're back. We're okay. Everything's fine. Everything's okay. We're back. We're good. Yeah. I will admit, I did try to test something out because some of you may know I have the full body tracking now for VR chat. It can kind of connect to. It can quote kind of connect to VNyan, but it's not that good. Like, only the arms move when I have full all 12 trackers on. Actually, there's 15 trackers. I lied. There's 15.
Mario Galaxy.
I want to figure out if I can get the whole system working, because then I could just be like Neo, where I can wiggle around and you can actually fucking see it. And the only issue I have from that is no fingers.
No fingers.
No fingies.
Sorry, meaning gummy bears. They're quite delicious.
But I'm done with you. It's gonna be delicious. Oh no.
You're lucky I love you.
You have to. You have to love it.
I'm not legally obligated.
I know what you said, but all I heard was not going to be obligated. Alright, cool. World 2.
Remember, we got some verbal agreements. It's not legally binding yet.
Yeah. Oh, fuck, it's Yoshi's. The one that goes...
And the other one goes, pew.
Okay, now to fully explain why the 2 weeks I've been missing. The first week, I got hit with some kind of strand of laryngitis is what I'm thinking. All I know is Sunday I had like a scratch in my throat, and the next day my voice was gone, I was gone. I was just, no. Yeah, that sucked. That bled over to the next week, literally. The next week. Okay.
You got drop kicked by a Goomba.
I got drop kicked by a Goomba. The next week, I had to help around the house. I say, as I didn't really help around the house. How should I say this? The roommate's sister and her +1 had appeared and stayed with us for 8 days. I kind of forgot how this section worked. In which we went to do some activities. One of them being an amusement park, or actually a theme park. I take that back. And that kind of took us out for the entire week. We literally didn't really do much online, simply because of how much was going on through that week. Let's go, of course. Let's just say it was a loaded couple of weeks. That's about it. I'm not paying attention at all. I don't know where the green star is.
Mouse Sounds like you're on autopilot.
I am on autopilot. Oh. Oh, not gonna be there. Look and listen, I guess. Oh, I see one. That's a 1 of 3. And there's 2. How the fuck? How? How do I get that one? Interesting. Ooh, okay, that's out. I missed! Hey! We're fine. We're fine. Yoshi's having a hard time, like, going backwards, though. Sorry, Yoshi. You were not doing well. It's okay. Oh, and you can probably tell by the random coughs that the laryngitis might be trying to resurface. Yeah, it's fun. Everyone around me is getting sick. I also don't know if that was star 2 or 3, since they were too close in proximity. That was 2, cool. Let's see here. There are other things I'm trying to start up as well. If you saw my Bluesky, if you will, you would probably get the hint on the first one. I know this beam probably did. Probably.
I want to say a joke. So he's starting an OnlyFans, so the link will be down in the description below.
It's only furs, get it right, quit getting them mixed up. God.
I get that, only feet, you know, I'm sorry.
The fact that you said only feet. Oh, right. I can't long jump with Yoshi. Oh. I was confused. We're not gonna question that. We're just gonna keep going. We're just gonna say funny Mario logic and just move on. I missed the star. Oh god. Methinks I missed it. Methinks Yoshi's not gonna come back for a hot minute either because he's actually down here. Safe. Oh, there he is. Fuck. Why me no get star? Give me a star! Okay, we're good. That almost worked. I'm gonna do that again. That was actually pretty cool too. Give me the stuff! I'm like 90% certain that's not how you get the star, but you know what? I'm doing it anyways because it's so fucking cool. Oh, that was incorrect. Oh my god, why are you not getting the star? Anti-grabbing star from cool shit force field. Thank you! Mario had to give it the old fingering tactic. Yay! Next. Yay! Friends are coming. I love how these games are just mostly cutscenes more so than actual gameplay.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah!
Oh, I saw one. I think I just saw one of them.
Did you?
Dang.
I always do this. Oh, yep.
Yeah, that's the one I saw.
Interesting. So, do not get the rock power up. Just fucking don't. Because if I get it, then I won't be able to get this. Ah. This is gonna be interesting. Mario keeps hitting the wall. Fucking weird. Mario, stop hitting the wall. Please.
Hello, Mac.
Hello, Mac. Stop it, Mario. Stop it. Stop. Huh. This might be a case of Luigi does it better.
Right, because Luigi is floatier.
Very floaty. Thank you.
He's like, I don't need that universal. I like to do it myself. Wahoo!
Listen, listen, listen. I know the jump very high, but I cannot fucking do it. Watch. Still haven't seen Super Mario Galaxy the movie. Yeah, there's a lot of shit I want to see. I still need to see the rest. I want to say the rest of Digital Circus, but at this point, it might as well be the whole Digital Circus. I still want to see the back rooms. Mario Galaxy
Have you seen
movie.
Iron Lung yet?
I have not seen Iron Lung. I know I'm an uncultured swine. Yeah! Haha! Whee! Boink! Grab this. Why? No reason. Money, 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 money.
Oh, you missed one.
Nuh-uh. Thank you. Look at this idiot. Look at this idiot. Dumbass. Alright. I think Able C sucks. No. No. I see the other star.
Is that what that was?
Yep. You see it?
I was looking over at the orb, the caged orb over there.
Oh no, that's not it. There'll never be anything like that. That's actually the normal star.
Oh, okay.
But you're
Oh,
close.
is it in the fucking plant?
No. Do you see it now?
No, I'm half dumb.
It's really fucking stupid.
Oh, it's right there.
Yeah. Some of these stars are in the dumbest locations. Oh, what the fuck? Case in point.
Case in point.
What in the shit is this?
Oh
Literally
my
1,
God.
2, and 3 over here. Are you kidding me, Nintendo?
Well, at least that knocks out this galaxy.
Yeah, yeah. I was expecting them to be a lot more winded than that.
Maybe they're figuring they give you a
Give me the star. Give me a star.
door.
Just collecting all I can. Oops. You got a star. Green Star 3. My dumbass would have thought, oh, that's Green Star 2. Yay! What do you mean, Green Star 3? Huh? Yes, I'm trying to collect all the star bits that I can. Yeah, you're not fooling me this time. Fucking glimmering that I was hearing, I thought was a star that was just happened to be near the camera up above. Nah, it was the star that was right in front of me, just below the freaking ramp that you couldn't see. I can't believe Nintendo would play with the perception of sound like that. How dare them? Wow, 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 wow. Up, 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 I didn't know I could bounce off that. Parkour. Cosmic Cove Galaxy.
Gloop.
Gloop. Isn't this the one with the no, okay, I was thinking of another one. Well, there's one.
Yes.
That's so fucking suspicious.
Who's this, Sussy Baka?
This is so suspicious.
Oh, it is.
It's like
It's so green.
it's so green.
Good.
All the rest are blue. This one, for some reason, is green when I'm looking for green stars. Why is this one green? I'm gonna go Devil Artemis on him. Freaking Cell Games. I love how so many people didn't realize that you can break on the shell. I played this game multiple times before and I never knew that! What the fuck you don't know? Are you just not a random button pusher? Right. Bye. Bye.
Wait.
Oops. Whoops. Okay, sure. Bah.
Bah.
Lol. There's one. It's frozen solid. Yay. Yay. What up? Yes, yes, I hear it. Hi.
Oh.
Hi. Oh, hey, it's one of these. This is fine, I guess. Two Bro Live. Alright, I'll get to start now. Oh, there was a ring thing.
Ding.
Starbit ring. That's what I'm in. Boy, gee howdy, I hope that was the first one and not like the third one or the second one. Good.
Or the fifth one.
Oh god, a fifth one. Where did the fifth one come from? I thought there was only 3 per level.
Over there.
Underwear. Oh. Oh. It's near the key.
Yes!
Yippee!
Your
No, I pee when bladder full. Yes. Everyone's searching inside. What happened?
He used to build.
Money, 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 money. Sploosh.
Oh, Ben.
I think at some point I should play That's Not My Neighbor. I've been thinking about that game a lot lately.
What?
That's Not My Neighbor.
Oh, okay.
It's the spiritual successor to Papers, Please.
Yeah, I've seen a couple playthroughs of it. It looks fun. It's interesting.
It is very interesting.
Poopy.
Oh yeah. It sounds so close, but I don't know how close. I hear two of them.
Oh. Yep, now I hear them. You're getting close to one of them.
Out here. Shenanigan. Oh, there's one. I get it. Easiest way to get it. Homing stomp.
So is it number 2 or 3?
Should be 2. Because I heard a third one when I got closer up to the top. Or heard the third one. What makes this game a little bit worse is the autosave. It takes a little time away. It's a little time,
Yeah.
but it's enough to add up.
Yeah. So there's no more after the green ones, alright?
I'm not at liberty to say, because I don't remember.
Oh no. I gotta boop that brain of yours.
Yes!
Yes! Haha! Fuck. Give me your sweet, succulent coin. Then he goes full Sonic for no reason.
Yeah. Gotta go for. Oh wait, that's the other guy. That's that blue bitch.
I'm specifically talking about Sonic Heroes, where for whatever reason, if you press B on the rails, you just grind backwards.
I never understood that, but that game had its very interesting jank.
It did. It had jank across all versions too.
Mm-hmm. I'd love that.
I haven't put a GameCube. Sorry.
I still have no GameCube. Take that as my punishment of selling my GameCube.
I still have my original GameCube. Well, it's original Revision 1. It doesn't have that cool jewel that the old GameCubes have.
Oh yeah, my Platinum one did.
Damn, dude. Aubrey did show hers. Oh, sorry.
Yes. I was saying that's why I'm even more upset that I still. If I could go back in time and just don't do this, I would. There's so many games on that I miss so much, and I had the max memory card too. That first party, the 10 something, the 1050.
Wow.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I have a Mad Catz one that's 16x.
Oh god.
It functioned as it should. I do have a first party one that's only 1x. Wow.
Oh wow.
Did you see how far it was?
Yeah.
Huh. Neat. Yeah, I can hear the second one. It's in its zone. Ah! Sorry. It's gonna be about here.
Yep, there's the shine right there.
I had to sneeze. God damn it. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure there's enough time. Hey!
You did it.
I did it! Green star. Yay, cons. Flap.
Flap.
Flop. Oh.
Flop.
Oh boy. This relationship. This ought to be very interesting. Show the first one, or any of them.
Yes!
If I'm not mistaken, in one of these, how should I say, in one of these levels, the star is literally just long jump off the platform and hope you make it.
Really?
Yeah. I think it is. I don't know. I don't remember. Fucked up.
Not sure if he's fine.
I ain't help at all. Oh, either that's a one-up, or that's the green star that I need. That's a. Oh, he's not there! What the fuck? Okay. It was just like, oh yeah, it's a green star. The quickest hello motherfucker in the world.
Yeah.
Alright. The fucking other galaxy was just peeking in.
Yes!
No. Did Lucky just bring up Helldivers too?
Hmm?
Did Lucky bring up Helldivers too?
Where?
I just saw it pop up on my feed.
Oh.
Okay, we're good. Yeah, I'm gonna just... I don't know if you've noticed, but the balloons have... Every single balloon has had the same animation as the Donkey Kong Country balloons. Yes, my autistic ass notices that.
about to say, I can't say that I ever noticed that.
The second star. Where's the second star? Get it, get it, get it, get it, get it! You son of a bitch! I'm gonna go over it again.
You found the star.
I found the star, but now I missed it, so I gotta get it again. Fuck. Where's a river so I can go cry? I missed the star. Where?
Oh, yeah.
Is that a new character? Oh, yep, they're playing Helmet Artistic. Oh no, bro.
Oh no. Error.
My Elgato is taking shit. Uh-oh.
Error.
My game is still going. I see it on my tablet. The Wii U tablet, because, you know, Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
But Elgato took a shit.
Do you need to update it at all?
I don't think so. I don't want to update it because I don't know what it's going to do to it.
Good point.
Even still, I wouldn't know if there is an update to it. And nor would I know why.
Yeah,
This-
it's just
My original Elgato, the one that allows me to play retro consoles, because, you know, it has a component in this video, that one's hard-coded to have a delay of 1 second.
oof.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. If you're playing through, like, pass through the TV, it's perfectly fine. There is no delay. But when you're trying to capture footage, you'll see it's kind of like, you'll see the visuals, then you'll hear the audio. It's pretty fucking bad.
Okay.
I'm fine. I gotta get down. I don't know how I got that one up, but sure. Okay. She's so dumb. Yourself. realized I never really talked to the buzzard guy, guzzard thing. Maybe I could just say, hey, yo, can I restart this? There's something I missed. I need to grab it. Bean,
Yeah?
I can hear you.
You can hear me with what?
I'm pretty sure that's you snoring.
I'm not asleep.
And what's that sound that I'm hearing?
Probably my fan? It's oscillating right now. This is what we wanted to hear.
Oscillating.
Yes.
Oscillator. Ocelot. Metal Gear.
Revolver Ocelot.
Revolver
Oh,
Ocelot.
Metal Gear.
Oscillating fan. I need info on this guy.
Fascinating.
That's such a stupid joke. I can't believe I came up with that. Let me cook again.
Don't tell me his weakness. Shit, I forgot to pick that up.
Oh my god, I missed a fucking game.
Wow.
I'm so bad.
You're so bad at games.
Would you like to go again? Yes. I missed the star.
There's a battle.
What do you mean I can't commit seppuku? Oh, that's so gay.
Meow.
Meow! Hi, pair! Wow, 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 wow.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't the star. I just want to get this green star. It's such a bad star. This is kind of a bad star. This is a pretty bad star. It's a bad star.
Pretty naughty star.
Naughty, naughty.
Who's been a bad star?
Me. I've been a bad star.
Shut up, bitch.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Man.
Yahoo!
No more of that. Ba, 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 ba. Not seeing nor hearing. I'm hearing. Rude. Just out of curiosity, can I just... Uh-oh. Okay. That sucked. Wow, wow, wow. Wow, wow. Not the star that I need, but I'm up here to check. Power set. Wait. It's not the green star, that's the how it melts. I hear it, I just don't see it. Above? Yes. Just in case. Yay!
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yahoo!
Wow, 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 wow. Green Star 2. Yeah, that doesn't give me any kind of information at all. Still got it. Oh, I missed. Seen my alarm is going off.
No.
Yeah. It's just a check-in, basically. Where did I go through? Why are they going through the roof? I can't tell if I'm here in the second one or not.
I think you're hearing it.
It's the first one that got up there. Yeah, that was unnecessarily risky.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. Jesus.
I hear the second one. He thinks I'm not going to be able to get it now. Get to the second checkpoint. It means I lose my coins, but it's fine. I think I know where it's at. It's not gonna be up here. I just saw these and I want them. Good. You are a bean.
Yeah.
Yeah, beans tend to do that. Bowser's Lava Lair.
Yes.
See anything yet? I hear something.
What do you hear, Bean?
Either it says Luma or my death. Whoops.
Oh.
Fire. See? Fire. Such a bean. Make it bean nice to see you.
You are such a bean.
Ow. Oh, no! Now, this is going to be a little bit of the wildest visual you're going to see in a hot minute. But yes, you can stand here.
Oh. Stand there doing bean things.
Yes. Because some of the green stars are gonna require bullshit like this. Wait, what? Oh, those are just munchers. Oh, hey. Nom nom nom. Boy dinner.
It's a boy dinner, a stick of chalk, and a box of 9mm bullets.
I thought it was crayons.
Only if you're a Marine.
Marine dinner? Oh, yeah. You see it?
I see it behind the rock.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh.
Heh. One shot.
It's like a certain blue hedgehog that I know. One's fucking tunity. I didn't mean to grab that. I did anyways.
Oh, way to go.
It's fine. It's a free up. Such a stupid location, but sure. That's what makes it fun, though. Just seeing what kind of absolute nonsense where they would they hire a star in.
Yeah, I can definitely tell why you called an official ROM hack.
Mm-hmm. Nintendo has done a good number of official ROM hacks. This is one of them.
Yes!
Stupid. God damn it. I think I know what the issue is.
What's the issue?
It's a
Do you...
stupid ass issue. Because my index is connected.
Oh.
It wasn't an issue before, but it definitely is one now. It's because, if I'm not mistaken, it has to do with power draw.
Ah.
Funny that I found a listing on selling, I'm guessing, a 3D printed Mario figurine in Peaky Binders clothing. Hmm. You could just show me that. Or at least post in the, you know, the Discord channel. Youth Kaboom Discord channel.
Oh, loose your boom.
Okay. That's one. What the fuck is... Oh. Oh. I think I know where it's at. Never mind.
Is it right there? Am I not wrong?
I don't know. It looks like there's a... No, that's a flag. Okay.
Oh.
I can't tell anything behind that block. There's nothing it's fucking loaded in. So I'm gonna see what that is. Right, if my browser updated. Interesting. I mean, it's pretty cool, but probably would not buy that.
Oppenheimer Mario?
That was the interaction I just had.
Oh,
I will admit, there's only... They need to fix the eyes, because the eyes are too circular. Oh. Yeah, I saw it. I hear it. Where? Are you fucking kidding me? Nintendo, what the fuck is this star? What the absolute fuck is this star? There's no fucking way, dude. What is this star, dude? Nintendo. Are you okay? Who hurt you?
I think they're okay.
Then again, this game is when Satoru Iwata was in charge, so...
Yeah.
God, I missed that, man.
Likewise. Sorry, I had enough full popcorn. Ow, 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 ow. Oh, there is a fight there. Somehow I just missed it. I may be of the stupid. It's fine. Absolutely ridiculous star. I will say one of the cooler Mario figures that's out there in the wild is the One Piece collab. I'm sorry.
You don't know about that one?
No, I...
The camera turned off. What? Hold on. What is going on? My fucking camera. What? Why did my camera turn? Oh my god, Ari is right. There is a fucking poltergeist here. Let me show you that. Shit's so fucking cool.
Huh.
I think this is actually an official, you guys won't be able to see it, but I'm showing the Kasan. You guys can literally just look it up on Google. If I'm not mistaken, this is actually an official piece of artwork Nintendo did with One Piece. Everything is in theme too. The freaking shackles are from the Mario bricks. The quote-unquote devil fruit is a peach. It's pretty fucking cool.
Looks like it's well done too.
Very well done. Poor XP. Well. Boy. We'll do this one first. This one looks like it's gonna be a pain in the ass.
Ass in the pain.
Paintable ass. I hear one. There's the other one.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one. Just to drive home how much it's just there. Oh, Starbucks core. Right. Interesting. Okay, did not know that was a one-up. Yay! Look, guys, inflation.
Oh God.
Oh shit! No. This is a really bad bonus room. It's so bad. Oh. Brother man, you're flooded bad. You should feel bad. Hello? What the fuck?
No stuff for you.
Oh my god. I'm getting it with Yoshi. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Star Giga. Star Gay.
Whee!
Alright, 12-12. What the fuck? I'll get these last few stars and we can probably move on to the next game. What game? Huh. I don't remember. Me no know. Oh, no, not that. That's after Mario Galaxy. I can't, tongue one-ups. Not the next game in the series, just the next game to play today. With Mainline Mario, I have to beat this game 100% before I can go on to the next one. Yeah, soon. Lol. Which star is somewhere around here? Oh, interesting. Not so interesting. Triple bro life. Shit. Okay. Star.
Yippee.
Yep,
Be right back.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, pre-trunk time. Where is it gonna be?
Yes. Whee!
Oh, no Yosh.
Ah! Ah!
Swing, use it. So demanding. God.
Wahoo!
Well, wait. These just got the purple coins. Where's my input? My A input, it's gone. How did I get that one? What the fuck? Cool. 15 free star bits. Again, my input is just gone.
Wahoo! Wahoo!
That's something. Woo. Just going to that. Ow. Ow. It's fine. Fuck. All this just to get the star again. Another star. Again. Which I don't even know where it's at. I can't even see it from here. I don't hear it. I don't see it. Gotta be down there in some kind of hidden alcove or something. Alcove. Yes, I'm gonna keep getting these, at least until I get to 999.
Whee!
Are you fucking kidding me? That's where it's at? Why? Literally at the end where you have to do some shitty jump just to get to it. Are you serious, dude? Thanks, Nintendo. So bad. Darn. But okay, be careful here. Thank you. Fuck. Such a bad star. Such a naughty star. Naughty, naughty.
Oh, yeah.
Way longer than I wanted it to. Depositing time. Yes, I've been playing for a while, I know.
Maybe you should like just shut the fuck up.
Right? She's just, shut the fuck up. Let me do my own thing. Oh, I just threw my nunchuck up.
Wow, way to go.
Oh. Man.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Yes. Yes, yes,
Well, actually,
yes.
my body is angry.
Not so yes or nor. Bark.
Ark.
Bark. What to
Where
do?
is my threesome?
Where is my sandwich?
I am your sandwich.
Tired, I'm gonna be real.
I'm gonna nom on the Swift.
I'm gonna be real. I might just end here for the time being because I am unnecessarily tired at the moment. May pick up.
Unnecessarily beaning.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stop here for the time being. Oh, these weather effects are not helping. Cool. Well, despite the short-ranged stream today, we got through at least one more world of green stars. So many more green stars to go. Oh my god.
All the green stars.
All the green stars. Too many green stars. Fun fact, this is not the only game with green stars.
Or nor.
Nar indeed. But suffice to say, I'm going to try to stream tomorrow. No promises. I'll find something to do tomorrow. I'll or at least try to. But without further ado, I thank you, Beans, for coming, and I will see you guys in the next one.
Oh.